Hey, welcome to my channel. I'm going to be doing a full set of Gel X nails with a flower tip design. So basically I'm just wiping the nail with some acetone on a cotton wool pad, and then I use Mia's Secret Bond, and it basically adds like a sticky coat to the nails. So you just apply a really small amount of this to the nails, so that's why I'm wiping the brush a few times before I apply, and it doesn't need curing. Then I take my really old bottle of the gel bottle all-in-one Biab, and I apply a base layer to the nail. So this is quite a thin coat of gel, and as I get close to the cuticle I kind of like push down as opposed to trying to paint close to the cuticle. This basically allows me to get as close to the cuticle as possible without drowning the cuticle where you accidentally get it on your skin, which is obviously really bad for your skin. So then I do a full cure after I've done that, and then I pick out some medium almond tips that I sized up earlier, and I put a small amount of all-in-one Biab on them. This I found when I first started doing it, I would put too much and then it would kind of spill out the sides, and then I would end up getting it on my skin, and obviously that's really bad, so I'd have to clean it up immediately. Whereas I've kind of got used to the amount, and it's actually almost like less is more, and you kind of just push down quite hard. And then off camera, I'm just flash curing these I've got like a little USB flash cure light, and it's nice and easy to just cure them and keep them in place before I do a full cure. Then I have to trim these down quite a bit because I'm quite active and I do kickboxing and go to the gym, so I don't really like to have long nails. In hindsight, I wouldn't have bought the medium almond, but I didn't know how long they were going to be, so I bought these. And it was also at a time that I was less active, so I have to clip them down and then drill them down with the sanding band part of the drill. So this takes quite a while. So I ended up having to speed up this clip quite a bit just because it took me a long time to drill it down. But if you were to obviously buy the tips in the right length, then you wouldn't need to do this step anywhere near as long as me. So then I use a regular file just to kind of finish it off. I find that the drill kind of makes the end of the nail quite rough, and there's some bits hanging underneath the nail. So I use a file to just smooth it out, and also to get rid of some of the bits that are clinging on, if that makes sense. Apparently, I looked it up, and apparently they're called nail burrs. I've never heard of that. So then I wipe with a cotton wool pad with acetone on. This cotton wool pad should really be clean, but my cotton wool pad has some green on it because I was experimenting this design on my thumb before I actually went to do it. Then see, I apply my tips slightly up the natural nail, so then it gives me a chance to kind of blend in the cuticle and make the cuticle part a bit thinner, so then when it grows out, then the nail looks a bit more natural. So I have a little gap between the tip and the cuticle, so I fill this in with all-in-one Biab, and then I do like a flash cure just in my main light. I do like 15-second cure, and then apply the next nail and then do 15-second cure just to hold it in place, because while I'm doing this I'll often apply quite a bit of Biab and then I'll turn over the nail and let it self level and then cure it. So it's easier to just do one nail at a time because then it keeps the gel in place. So yeah, so I'm going towards the cuticle, but I try not to go all the way down to the cuticle. I try and be really careful around the cuticle, because obviously we don't really want the gel touching the skin, so I kind of just like push the gel down when I get towards the cuticle. So then I use this Beetles gel color called A392, which is a translucent pink, and I apply this to the nail just to increase the opacity slightly. So I applied 2 coats of this and then obviously cured between the 2 coats and after. This colour gives the nails a nice natural pinky colour that's great to add a French tip on top of. But you can use any translucent light pink colour and it will have the same effect. And then I do a full cure. Comment down below what nail design I should do next. And then I take a light pastel blue gel colour and I get a dotting tool. This dotting tool is just from Amazon, and I pick up some dots of the blue and then I kind of drag them into the corner of each nail and it creates a nice flower design. One thing I will say is it's good to make sure that the dots are quite far from each other so that the petals are quite well defined. If they're too close together, then they kind of end up turning into a splodge when you pull them together. You want to make sure that there's some distance between them. Then I take a light purple colour and I do a similar design but on the opposite side of the French tip. So again, I use my dotting tool. I clean my dotting tool between each nail. So I just have like a cotton wool pad with some acetone and I wipe it on the acetone. And then I do 3 dots of the purple. Like I said, you want them kind of spaced out so it makes a clear flower and the petals are defined. Once I'm happy with this part of the design, I flash cure in my main cure light for 25 seconds just to set them in place. Then once that's flash cured, I take a light pink colour and I create a flower in between the 2 flowers. So the reason I had to flash cure before I did this was because I obviously want to set those flowers on the outside in place and I don't want the gels running into each other. So now they're set, I can then create a pink flower in the middle. And then once I'm happy with this, I then do another flash cure in my main light just for 15 seconds. Then I take a light yellow colour just to create the inside of the flowers. This really adds the detail and makes them look a lot more like finished flowers. So I do 3 dots in the middle of each flower on the tip of each nail just to create a bit of detail. I found with this, if I picked up too much gel, then it looked quite bulky because it's obviously on the very tip. So you want it to be opaque, but you kind of don't want there to be too much gel on your dotting tool. So I flash cured one more time and then I picked up this green gel polish. This one is I think it's by some brand called Colour Violets. I would say just go for any nice green colour, honestly. And then I'm creating some leaves. I wanted the leaves not to disrupt the design that's already there, so kind of just add to it. So on the edges and then in the middle as well. This bit was a bit more fiddly because we already have all the detail there, so I really wanted it just to enhance that detail. Obviously I've cured the other nails, so it's fine if we mess up, we can just wipe it and start again. But I wanted it not to obviously go over the existing design. I went to a local fair at the weekend and there was a henna lady there, which is why I have some henna on my hand. I love getting henna done and I love doing henna designs actually. I find that quite a nice creative thing in a kind of similar way to how I relax when I do my nails. It's like you kind of get lost in the detail a little bit, but in a good way, obviously. Then once I'm happy, I really need to do a full cure of this design. So I cure for 60 seconds and then I apply a top coat. And I'm actually doing my top coat on my other hand because I did my other hand just before this and I didn't quite finish with the top coat. So I was kind of experimenting on my other hand to see if it looked good, and I decided that it did look good. So I decided to go with the design and film a video. So yeah, I'm just sealing it in with a nice shiny top coat, and this is by the gel bottle as well, and it's also quite an old bottle. So I did a full cure, and this is the final look. So it's just like a nice summery French flower tip. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.